When I first met Luther, the thing that amazed me was that he was an expert on singing. Not just a great singer, but he knew everything about singing. And you know, I was a musician, I played a lot of jazz, man. Singers, yeah. But when I met Luther, man, he changed my whole attitude about it because he would sit me down. He'd play me Dionne Warwick and say, listen to the tone here. Okay, now she's gonna go this note, no vibrato now, right? I'm going, whoa, you know, and I realized what that did emotionally, how that made a song better. He said, listen to Aretha. Okay, listen to what she does here. Backgrounds, listen to Cissy Houston on the top. I mean, he was a student, man, of singing. I mean, think about it. Usually, if you're in the studio singing, you don't want to sing sharp, you don't want to sing flat. You want to sing right on it. But Luther's on another level, man. He said, no, right here, I'm going to sing a little sharp. Whoa, you mean, isn't that bad? No, right here, sharp is better. It's more emotional, you know? Or if you're a singer, you know, or a musician, they teach you to play on the beat. Musician, man, don't drag, don't rush, don't play ahead, don't play behind. Luther, oh, I'm gonna sing way behind right here, Marcus. I'm gonna barely catch up.
He has a vision of what he wants it to be, and he will not stop until he achieves that, which has always been, for me, a great thing because he will do whatever it takes to make sure it's what he envisions.
Whatever it costs.
Whatever it costs, however long it takes. I mean, if something has
Absolutely.
to, if something has to take a day, great. If it takes a week, no problem. It's just, he always strives in making a record a record.
Clearly, he spends time at home, hours, figuring out stuff, writing the lyric. I mean, what he, you know, how he draws on his spirituality and where he gets it from, that's, to me, that's a personal thing. I must tell you, when we come together, we have already been through that, and we're able to combine,
Right.
you know, what he's done and what I've done, and you know, come to something. But that real deep, emotional, spiritual place, I think I do that on my own, and before I get to him, and he does that on his own before he gets to me.
For me personally, you know, when I hear a song like So Amazing or something like that, I not only remember the first time I heard the song, I remember when we were recording it, you know, and what that felt like, you know. Can you imagine playing bass and Luther's in the studio right there, and Nat's playing the piano and Yogi's playing the drums, and you're playing the song, and you know right then and there, this is a song that people are gonna be hearing for the rest of the time. This is a classic. I know it's a classic, and it's happening right now, you know? I'm looking at the guy singing the song, man, and he's just off into it with his eyes closed, and I'm playing bass, and a lot of the songs for bass, you know, you're kind of holding a note for a long time, just supporting everything, so I'm looking around and just enjoying it, man, just going, wow, this is kind of historic, man. You know, this is something that people are going to be feeling. And then the next step, man, is to be in my apartment building in New York, walking down the hall to the elevator and hearing that same music filtering out of somebody's apartment, man, and hearing a lady cooking dinner and singing along with this thing, you know? Singing and going, sing, Luther! That's what she's singing, man.
My absolute favorite songs of his tend to be the real confessional,
Right.
real deep emotional. It's the ones that I hear for the first time and I'm home crying because I know, oh my goodness, that really came from Luther. That's what he was just going through this year. And I don't want to even name
Right.
those songs.
But he is so concerned about the performance and the believability of it and the tone and how it makes you feel. And that's why I think a lot of the music, people relate to it and they put him on and it makes them think and it makes them feel something that maybe they can't say to someone. You could say, hey, listen to this song, this is how I feel, and he said it for you.
I was in Madison Square Garden watching him perform one time. He's singing one song, I forgot the song, but he paused for a line and the band paused. And a girl in the audience just absolutely lost her mind. She just started going, ah, 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 over and over again. I mean, this is Madison Square Garden, it's a huge place, but everyone in the place heard it to the point where Luther had to wait a minute until the girl got herself together. She never did. They had to escort her out of the Madison Square Garden because she just completely lost her mind. And he did this to this woman with nothing but his voice. I think Luther really believes in in the spirituality that love kind of brings it, that dynamic between people, that's kind of the ultimate, the relationship between people, how we depend on each other, how we need each other, how a man and woman love each other, that quality of love. He almost looks at it, love, as like another person. If you listen to his songs, lots of times he's saying, love doesn't like that, you know what I mean? Or love did this, or love, he talks about love in the third person, like it's an entity.
If you look at Nat's involvement and mine and Marcus, if you look at the thread through the records, even though there's been various people in and out, we've kind of gone and grown up together. And there is that feeling of like we're home.
Ray and Luther have a great thing. Here's an example. We're trying to get the right bass drum sound for a song. And Luther and Ray are talking about the bass drum, and Luther's going, no. You know what I want it to sound like? I want the bass drum to sound like my refrigerator door when I close it. Boom. Right? And although that wasn't the most musical description, it was the perfect description. And Ray was like, huh, got it. He twists some knobs. Next thing you know, the bass drum's going boom, boom, boom. It was like perfect. I mean, Ray and Luther worked together that way.
We're really good friends, all of us around here. I think that comes through. I think that's a part of it. I mean, I think you kind of have to be to go as far as we do sometimes with what we're trying to do.
When you hear Luther sing with Nat just accompanying on the piano, just by themselves, it's the same as when you hear with the band, because Nat is so good and Nat is so perfect for Luther, and they kind of know each other's moves before the other guy does it. So Nat goes, I think he's getting ready to do this. Let me prepare him for that. And sure enough, it happens. The most obvious thing about Luther when you're hanging with him, when you meet him, is that he's just hilarious. He's just funny. He's fun to be with. His mind is quick, and he's always cracking jokes, and he always has a humorous slant on things, the way he looks at things. Man, he's always keeping everybody cracking up in the studio.
He'll walk in one day and like his hair, he will have just had his hair done.
Come on.
Right? And he thinks he knows he looks good that day. And like, if I don't say anything, he said, now you better stop that tape right now. And I said, well, what? Something you don't like? He said, no. And I said, well, what's the matter? He goes, do you have anything to say to me? And I say, no.
No.
And he says, do you notice anything? And I said, no. And he said, did you notice my hair? And I said, oh yeah, it looks good today. He said, well, I am the client, and you were supposed to tell me when I come in here looking good.
When he sings a song, it's Luther. You can tell when an artist finds that space where they know who they are. The reason you can tell is because you'll see all these other artists start to imitate them. Because when somebody is that strong in their identity, it's like a magnet, and all these other people begin to try to do it too. When people heard Miles Davis, all the other trumpet players couldn't help it. They started just following him, just trying to do that, When people heard Frank Sinatra sing the same thing, It's somebody who has that strong a personality just draws people to them. And I think that Luther became an expert at sounding like Luther. He knows exactly what he needs to do to a song to make it his own.